Okay, it's been a while since I've done anything on the guitar. I'll just show you where we're at. This is the back of the front, so to speak. The bracing's already all in place now. I've just put a bit of sound hole reinforcing just here. That's dry now. I'll take those struts off in a minute, and that'll be ready for finishing then, which is pretty good. That's gone quite well. In the few months I've not been doing anything. This room I used to use as a dark room, so it was light proof, but it was also airtight. As a consequence, there's no ventilation in it. And one of the things that's happened while it's just been sort of dormant is this moulding here. This mould I used for the size of the guitar has contracted some sort of mould. I'll just put you close up to it so you can see it. It's only on this. The rest of the woods and everything are fine, but for some reason that's gone a bit manky. But I'm not too concerned about it. The place will soon dry up, and I'll brush it off when I need to. One of the things I'm going to be doing now is working on the neck. What I've done, that's the headstock. I've put the rosewood lamination on it now, as you can see. It looks quite good. Quite happy with that, no problem with that. What I'm going to do now is fit the fretboard on. The one thing you have to do, of course, is put the truss rod in. Now, the truss rod I've got here is what they call a dual action truss rod. It means that you can actually, when you adjust it, it'll bend the neck forward and backwards. So you should be able to get some very fine adjustment with it. They're quite expensive, but you can only really put it in once. So I might as well put a decent one in while I'm doing it. Some people glue these in. You can. I mean, the only advantage of gluing it in really is that it does stop any potential rattling. But to be honest with you, that is in very, very solid. So I'm not going to bother gluing that in. But this has all got to be glued on here, and then the fretboard put on. And the way that's done, believe it or not, is with rubber bands. Just a second, Okay. Use these. These are they are literally rubber bands. I think they're used for model aircraft, for the for rubber model powered aircraft. So you use them to wind up to power the propeller. And basically what you do, you put this on, get the glue in place, and you wind these round it all the way around. It looks a complete and utter mess, but what it does, because it's rubber, it automatically centres the fretboard in the centre of the neck, so it should be straight. That's the theory. It worked last time I did it. It was fine. So I'm going to do the same again. Now, one thing I'm going to put on here is my nut, which I've misplaced. But I've got a pre-made nut actually, which I wasn't going to use. I was going to use a 0 fret. But the nut I've got, which is here, if you can see that, it's a lovely piece of bone. It's got quite a lot of texture in it. It's really rather nice. So I think I might try and use that. The only thing is, it's a bit too shallow. So I might have to shim it slightly to get it to fit. But we'll have a look at that in a bit. The other thing regarding this, because although this is an extremely hard piece of ebony, because I put the frets in, each time you put a fret in, it slightly bows the wood, so that's no longer flat. If I put that against a straight edge, which I've got one here, you'll see it's actually, there's quite a gap. If you can see that or not, there's quite a gap between that, and that's because of the frets. Now there is a danger that if I just glue that straight on, that the neck may take up some of that bend. Now the last thing I want is the neck bending backwards. It doesn't matter if it bends forward slightly, because there should be a little bit of relief in the neck anyway. So what I'm going to do, once I've actually got it glued and set up, I'm going to use a couple of these sash clamps just under here, just to hold it down, just to give it a little pressure on it. So I'm going to have a go at that in a minute. And then it's a question of shaping the profile of the neck, which is a bit of a job. It's one of the problems I had on my last one. I thought it was perfect, it looked lovely, but when you actually came to pick it up, it felt like a tree trunk, because although it was quite shallow there, and it was right there. There was too much wood on the sides. I can still correct it. I'm going to correct it eventually. I'm just getting the courage to do it, because I still play that guitar quite a lot. It's a lovely guitar to play, and it's got a lot of but it sounds really good. I'm hoping this one's going to be just as good. So I'll come back to you in a minute. When I put the glue on here, it's like trying to glue two pieces of glass together with oil. It just slides around all over the place, and it makes a right sodding mess everywhere. So when I've done it, it's going to look appalling. But as soon as I take the rubber bands off and start to get the plane on here and start to sand it down, it'll start to come up again, looking nice again, hopefully. This neck, as I've said before, has been profiled exactly the same as my Avalon neck on my Avalon guitar. So I'm going to use the dimensions on that, not just for the neck, but also, well, not for the fretboard, but for the neck as well, to try and make it exactly the same, because that does play very, very well indeed. So I'm going to leave it for there, and I'll come back to you when I've got it glued. I might as well just show you what I'm doing while I'm doing it. You might have to put up with a bit of bad language. Some of these jobs where, although it can be messy, you're better having too much glue rather than not enough. Now, although that's quite a thin coat of glue, or looks a fairly thin coat of glue, when I put the pressure on it, it's going to come oozing out all over the place. There you go. That's how it starts. Now, get yourself a rubber band. Might do a bother separating these. Alright, okay, it's like Latin spaghetti. Right. Right. Starts like this. There we go. Started already. I'm trying not to get any glue fingerprints on the fretboard itself, for obvious reasons. So basically, put the first one round like this. That's one. Let's start the job off. And that looks pretty much okay. Just move that across a tiny bit. A little bit more back this way. Okay. Now, you normally use two of these, but as I've got four, I'm going to use four. This one can go on a bit tighter. Good. The next one, put round here. last one. Yeah, a bit of glue on there, but not too bad. Not better than I thought it would be anyway. Make sure it is centered up properly. Good. It looks very good. And the last one on, and in the middle. There. Now what I'm going to do is put a couple of clamps on here, some rubber, on there, just to give it that little bit of extra pressure, and also to make sure it's nice and flat, and that should do. Don't lose me nuts. Now you can see it's all covered in rubber bands. It's just got to dry off now, and then we can start fitting the nut, putting the rest of the frets on, trimming this to size here, trimming this to size here, and then start shaping the actual neck itself. These are done now. I can take these off relatively carefully. Good investment, these fiberglass poles, they really are good. And that's the top, ready to fit on, and that'll go on there. So we've got a top, we've got the sides, and we've got the back, all there, ready to go. And basically, I've got to shape this, glue it all together, and then start doing the difficult stuff. Anyway, just thought I'd give you an update.